या देवी स्तूयते नित्यं विबुधैर्वेदपारगैः सा मे वसतु जिह्वाग्रे ब्रह्मरूपा सरस्वती। नमामि नारायणपादपङ्कजं करोमि नारायणपूजनं सदा वदामि नारायण नामधर्मलं स्मरामि नारायण तत्त्वमव्ययम्। Hari Om. Today is a very sacred day. It's called Guruvayur Ekadashi. Normally Ekadashi comes 24 times in a year, but Guruvayur Ekadashi comes only once in a year. It has very many significance behind it. It is on this date that Shankara, the Amsha avatar of Shiva, visited Guruvayur temple and had a darshan of Lord Guruvayurappan and also did Anga Pradashana. It is on this day that Guruvayur Keshavan attained the lotus feet of Lord Guruvayurappan. And therefore on this date, across the world, not only in India, countless devotees do Sampurna Narayani Parayanam, invoking the glory of Lord. It is in this context that now we are seeing the Narayaniyam. The word Narayaniyam itself has special significance. It means the glory of Narayana. Sanskrit is a multi-dimensional language. One word has many meanings. One meaning of the word Narayana is Narasya Ayanam Narayanam. Naraha means human being. Ayanam means destination. The destination of any human being is Narayana. Narayana symbolizes the all-pervading Lord, the Saguna Brahman. The word Ayanam also means the path. So Narasya path. Narasya Ayanam means the path of a human being to seek the Lord. So it is both a means as well as an end. Therefore, Narasya Ayanam Narayana. The word Nara also has got another meaning. Na riyate iti naraha means that which cannot be destroyed. In this context, the word Nara itself refers to the Atman or the Brahman, which is the essence and the subject of which the entire world is born of. And therefore the world itself is called Naram or Nara. Prapancham is called Naram because it comes from the word Nara. The one who knows Naram, Naram eti iti Narayana. The one who knows Naram means the one who has created the world, the Jagat Karanam Brahma, is called Narayana. And therefore, the Jagat itself is nothing but which is a creation of the Lord. It is called as, Narayana is called the Ishvara, and the Ishvara is what? Maya Sahita Brahman. Brahman is Nirguna. Brahman is considered from two angles, as Saguna Brahman and Nirguna Brahman. The Saguna Brahman is otherwise called Ishvara, or is also called as Maya Sahita Brahman, and Nirguna Brahman is called Maya Rahita Brahman. And therefore, this entire text, when we go through all the 100 Dasakas of Narayanam, we'll be seeing the Lord as Saguna as well as Nirguna. Towards the end of the Narayanam, we'll be seeing the Nirguna aspect. In this, keeping this in background in mind, now we are entering into the 5th chapter of Narayanam, which can be styled as Virat Purushodpatti Prakara Vandhanam. That means the description of the cosmic evolution. We'll first read the verse. I would request that whenever you are hearing this, you can also keep the textbook with you and you can chant along with me. Vyakta vyaktamidam na kinchidabhavat प्राकृतप्रक्षये मायायां गुणसाम्यरुद्धविकृतौ त्वय्यागतायां लयम् नो मृत्युश्च तथा मृतञ्च समभू आह्नो न रात्रे स्थितिः तत्रैकत्वमशिष्यथा किल परानन्दप्रकाशात्मना. I will repeat once more. व्यक्तमिदं न किञ्चिदभवत् प्राकृतप्रक्षये मायायां गुणसाम्यरुद्धविकृतौ त्वय्यागतायां लयम् नो मृत्युश्च तथा मृतञ्च समभून् आह्नो न रात्रे स्थितिः तत्रैकस्त्वमशिष्यताः किल परानन्दप्रकाशात्मना. We'll look at the Anvaya, the prose order. In Sanskrit language, because any word is a declined word, so it is written in a poetic style. So to understand the meaning, we have to rearrange it in a prose order so that we are able to see the meaning of the verse clearly. The prose order is like this. Prakrita prakshaye मायायां गुणसाम्यरुद्धविकृतौ त्वयि लयम् आगतायाम् इदं किञ्चित् न अभवत् तदा मृत्युः च अमृतं च नो समभूत् अह्नेः रात्रेः च स्थितिः न तत्र त्वम् एकः Asishyataha kila. The entire verse is rearranged in the prose order, the Anvaya. Now we look at the literal meaning of the verse. Prak means long ago. Prakrita prakshaye means during the Prakrita pralaya. Mayayam, that is when Maya, Guna Samya Ruddha Vikritau, whose modifications were prevented by the balance of the three gunas. The gunas means here sattva, rajas and tamas. Tvayi layam agatayam. You have to understand agatayam means satyam, the Brahman. It means had become latent in three. In thee means in you. Vyaktam idam. This universe is implied here, made up of the gross and the subtle. Vyakta, gross, and Avyakta is subtle. Kinchit na abhavat, did not exist at all. Tada, at that time. Mrityuhu cha, death means samsara. Amritam cha, and liberation. No samabhut, did not exist. Anhehe means of day. Ratrehe cha, and of the night. Sthitihi na, there was no existence. Tatra, then, tvam, thou, parananda prakashatmana, as supreme ananda and consciousness. Ekaha, as the only one. Ekaha means ekaha na advitiya. Dvitiya is not there. It is one without the second. Asishyataha kila, remained, only remained as avasishya. We'll look at the literal meaning of the verse. During the Prakrita Pralaya, when Maya, which did not undergo any modification, because of the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, being in equilibrium, lay hidden in you, this universe made up of the gross and the subtle, which did not exist. Then there was neither bondage nor liberation, neither day nor night. Thou alone did remain as supreme bliss consciousness. This is the literal meaning of the verse. Now we'll look into the Bhavartha. I don't know whether I'll be able to complete the entire thing now in this session, but I will continue the next session. Now, what is talked about is Prakrita Pralaya first. We should understand that Brahmaji's age is 100 years. Every day and night, the night of Brahmaji is called Naimitika Pralaya. The night of Brahma is called Naimitika Pralaya. When Brahmaji completes 100 years, then the end of that is called Prakrita Pralaya. That is 2000 years. Chaturyuga, 1000 Chaturyuga is day and 1000 years is night. So we are referring about the Prakrita Pralaya. There are three expressions. One is Prakrita Pralaya, that is the end of the Brahmaji's 100 years. Then the night of Brahma, that is called Naimitika Pralaya. And we also have everyday night, that is called Nitya Pralaya. So Prakritika Pralaya, Naimitika Pralaya, Nitya Pralaya. It is also called as Prakritika Pralaya, is also called Mahapralaya. Naimitika Pralaya is called Pralaya, and daily sleep hours is called Laya. So Laya, Pralaya, Mahapralaya. It can be seen anyway, but here he has used the word Prakritika Pralaya. During that time, there was no world, and therefore there were no modifications. We should understand that the creation implies the presence of three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Any Nama and Rupa implies gunas also. Here, since there was no world in existence, what remained was only Brahman without Nama Rupa. It is called as Nirguna Brahma. And therefore, it is said that the Maya, which is the Upadana Karana, Shakti of Ishvara, also was hidden in the Brahman itself during the Prakritika Pralaya. And this universe, which we call of gross and subtle element, really did not exist. So here he is talking of no universe at the end of Brahmaji's 100 years. And because there was no universe, the question of bondage and liberation does not exist. There was no bandha, there is no moksha. And what remained was only the Brahman in the form of Sat, Chit and Ananda. Here it is considered as Parananda Prakasha Atmana. So the context here is created is that before the world was created, there was only one Avyakta, which is called Brahman, which is free from the gunas, free from the names and form. And therefore, this Avyakta Brahman formed the basis for creation. As we proceed subsequently in the subsequent verses, it will be explained how the world itself was created later. But then we should understand that one thing very clearly is that what exists, what is only one, not many. Ekameva Advitiyam Brahma, says Shankara. And therefore, throughout the Upanishads, it's said that Yohamasmi, Ahamasmi, Brahmasmi. It says that there is essentially no difference between Jiva and Ishvara. The substratum of the Jiva is Brahman, and the substratum of Ishvara also is Brahman. So the multiplicity or the plurality of the world, what we see, is only in names and forms. Names and forms are many, substratum is only one. And therefore, it is very, in Upanishads also clearly proclaims that it's only the one that is as though seen as many through the names and forms. So it applies to Ishvara, and therefore we also see Ishvara in his many names and many forms. And therefore, whether you worship Ishvara as Lord Krishna or Lord Shiva, it does not make essentially any difference, because the content of Krishna or Guru Ayappan or the content of Shiva is only Brahman. We will continue in the next session. नारायण अखिल गुरो भगवन् नमस्ते हरि ओम्। या देवी स्तूयते नित्यं विबुधैर्वेदपारगैः सा मे वसतु जिह्वाग्रे ब्रह्मरूपा सरस्वती। नमामि नारायण पादपङ्कजं करोमि नारायण पूजनं सदा वदामि नारायण नामनिर्मलं स्मरामि नारायण तत्त्वमव्ययम्. Invoking the grace of Goddess Saraswati and Lord Guru Ayappan and our Mahaperiyava, we are now going through this verse number 1 of Dasaka 5. In the last class, it was mentioned in this verse that we explained that during the Prakriti Pralaya means at the end of Brahmaji's 100 years, what existed was only the Nirguna Brahman. The word Nirguna Brahman means the Prakriti, the creation in an unmanifest form. Prakriti Pralaya lasts for 100 years, equal to the age of Brahmaji. Since the creation existed in an unmanifest form, it is devoid of the gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, and also devoid of the various modifications. Few concepts to be highlighted now, which I would like to make special mention here. The word prak was used in this verse, saying that prak prakrita prakshaye. Prak has many meaning. One, it is in the beginning. One, long ago. Prak also means anadi. In this context, we should understand the one thing to be noted here is that the creation is always cyclical. Since it is cyclical, the word prak could be also interpreted as anadi. The age of Brahmaji itself is one day comprises of 4.3 billion years, which is also one kalpa, and for one night also is 4.3. And the age of Brahma may be 100. Therefore, the 100 years in terms of human years comes out to practically 310 trillion years, which is almost infinity. And Pralaya also exists for 310 trillion years. For keeping this in mind, the word prak could be interpreted as from time immemorial, because the creation moves cyclically. Another aspect is that during the creation only, there is emergence of Ishvara with Maya Shakti, which is called the causal body. And then along with the causal body comes the Sukshma Sarira and Stula Sarira, which is the Prapancha. So the Sukshma Sarira is referred to here as the gross and subtle body. And since the creation is not there, they are in an unmanifest form here. And therefore, the Lord Krishna, here thou is mentioned Lord Krishna, but Lord Krishna is existing not as Ishvara, but as a Nirguna Brahman. So whenever reference is made about Lord Krishna, he could be seen as Saguna Brahman as well as Nirguna Brahman. As I mentioned last time, when we talk of Saguna Brahman, then the Ishvara comes along with the Maya Shakti comes, and then the whole Prapancha comes. And with the Prapancha becomes also the Jivas, etc. So the nature of the Pralaya is explained in this verse, and it specifically emphasizes that what remained is only the Ishvara as Nirguna Brahman. And the nature of the Brahman is, it is Parananda Prakashatmana. Prakasha means here Chit, the consciousness. Para Ananda means absolute Ananda, absolute happiness. Its nature is absolute happiness. And the nature of happiness means it is also Ananta, limitlessness. What is limitless alone can be also Ananda. So the Ananda comes from Ananta. So the nature of the Brahman, absolute nature of the Brahman as Sat, Chit, Ananda is being talked about in this verse. Now we will move on to the second verse. We will chant and then try to see how much we can move forward here. Kala karma gunascha jivanivaha vishvam cha karyam vibho chillila ratimeyushi tvayitada nirlinata mayayuhu tesham naiva vadantya sattvamayī bhoः shaktyatmana tishtatam no chet kim gagana prasuna sadrisham bhuyo bhavet sambhavaha. If you look at the Anvaya, the prose order, it says, Hey Vibho, O all-pervading Lord, Tada, at that time, Kala, that means there is a time, Karma, means the karma. Karma is the effects of the actions of Jiva. Gunaha cha, that means the three gunas. Already talked about in the previous verse, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Jiva Nivahaha means all the Jivas put together. Karyam Vishwam cha, and the universe, which is a Karyam, the product of Maya. Chillilarati Eyushitvayi. They were all in you, absorbed in your own nature of pure consciousness and Ananda, as which was referred in the previous verse. Nirlinatam ayayuhu. They have become completely merged in you. Ayi bhoho, O Lord, Shaktyatmana, in the form of causal entities. Tishtatam, remaining, tesham, of them. Asatvam, absolute non-existence. Na eva vadanti. Eva vadanti means vadanti by Shruti. The Shrutis, they do not declare. No chet, otherwise. Gagana prasuna sadrisham, like the sky flower. Bhuyaha sambhavaha, manifestation again. Kim bhavet, can there be? So the meaning of this verse, literal meaning of the verse is, O the all-pervading Lord, then time, all karmas here means Sanchita, Prarabdha, Agami. All these three karmas are talked about. The gunas here means Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. And the entire jivas and the entire universe were completely merged in thee, who was in your own pure consciousness and Ananta. But it says, O Lord, the Srutis do not say that these which remained in causal form were absolutely non-existent. If they were absolutely non-existent, like a flower, can they ever come into existence again? The question is asked. What is mentioned about here is that the entire universe was completely existing in the Nirguna Brahman in an unmanifest form. For the Prabhanja to come, the Ishvara with the Maya Shakti created the universe. Along with the universe came all the Jivas. The Jivas are also Anadi. Jivas came because of the karmas. Because of the Prarabdha karma, Jivas come into existence. And that's why I mentioned that the Jivas also came into existence. And these Jivas which were there prior to creation, that is during the Prakrita Pralaya, were already there in an unmanifest form. If they were not there at all, then creation cannot come into existence. And though we said that, although in Pralaya there is really no creation, but it is a fact that the creation was there in Pralaya also in an unmanifest state, which cannot be seen through our senses. Because if the creation were not there in Pralaya, in unmanifest form, then creation cannot come into existence after Pralaya. The subtle meaning of this verse is that nothing can come out of something, can come out of only something. Something cannot come out of nothing. That's what is being explained here. Because there are certain things which never exist in any three periods of time. Here examples commonly given are the sky flower, because flower which grows in the sky without any plant or tree. Vandhyaputraha, the son of a barren woman, or the horn of a rabbit, Shashanka Shringaha, like that. But in this verse it is pointed out that the non-existence of time, etc., during Pralaya is not of this absolute type, but they existed in a causal or a seed form, and only came into manifestation when the new cycle of creation started. Therefore, the creation is the manifestation of what is already latent or hidden, and not the production of something which was absolutely non-existent before. It's very important to understand that. And therefore, this is cyclical. So, Lord, when he says Lord created, the creation is only understood as something as a projection. Now, the word, there are two types things is, one is existent, another is non-existent. There are certain things which don't exist at all. Therefore, they don't come into creation. That's why when we say that's called tucha. Therefore, the Vandhyaputra, Sahasranga Shringaha, etc., the blue sky, the sky with a flower, etc., those things which are talked about, they are non-existence. So those things never come into existence because they are also not there in an unmanifest form. And the significance of this verse is the evolution of the cosmos is being explained in this verse by saying that the universe came out from the Prakrita Pralaya. From the unmanifest, the manifest universe emerged, which means that at all times the universe existed. Only thing, during the Prakrita Pralaya, the universe existed in an unmanifest form, and when the universe emerged, it came in a manifest form. Therefore, there is really no creation, but it's only a projection. And therefore, it is also mentioned in the Vedas that Lord Ishvara, this Maya Shakti, projected the universe. We'll go to the next verse in the next session. Narayana Akila Guru Bhagavan Namaste. Hari Om. Ya Devi Stuyade Nityam Vibhudair Veda Paragaihi Same Vasadu Jikvagre Brahmarupa Saraswati. Namami Narayana Pada Pankajam Karumi Narayana Pujanam Sada Vadami Narayana Namanirmalam Smaravi Narayana Tattvam Abhyayam. Invoking the grace of Goddess Saraswati, Guru Vayappan, Mahaperiyava, and the entire Guru Parampara, we are now moving on to this chapter 5, verse number 3, which we completed in the last session. Just summarizing, the first two verses, they talked about the universe as not existing, as unmanifest, as a Prakrita Pralaya, which is at the end of the lifetime of Brahmaji, 100 years. This Prakrita Pralaya also lasted for 100 years. And in the third verse, which we completed last time, it was mentioned how the universe emerged at the end of these 100 years, at the end of the Prakrita Pralaya. And it was clearly mentioned that at the end of this, Maya, which was a Shakti of Ishvara, emerged, was responsible for the emergence of the universe. Along with Maya came all the time, jivas, etc. Before moving on to the fourth verse, I thought it would be more appropriate we understand all these terms a little more clearly so that we are able to comprehend the implications. 4 words are Brahman, Ishvara, Maya and Jiva. The word Brahman comes from the root Brih Dhatu. The literal meaning of the word Brih Dhatu is that which is big. But in this context, since Brahman has got no form, we cannot define Brahman in terms of bigness or smallness. Because Upanishad itself says Brahman is bigger than the biggest and smaller than the smallest. Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. Therefore, in this context, we have to understand Brahman as something which is all-pervading. Sarva Vyapakatvam iti Brahman. And Brahman also as the Adhisthana of everything. Adhisthana means the substratum and the basis of everything. It is free of all forms and names, which sustains the universe and which pervades. And therefore it is not limited by time, space and object. Desha, Kala, Vastu, Aparichinnam, if you use the Sanskrit words. It is exactly like when you talk of space, space is limitless. Space is not bound by any Desha and Kala. But when we put a pot and then say this is pot space, it looks as though space is limited by the pot. But then the limitless space cannot be bound by the pot, which we can easily verify by removing the pot. So we make an expression that when the pot goes away, the pot space merges with the infinite space. Similarly here Brahman also is all-pervading. The another aspect of Brahman which we have to remember here is Brahman is absolute and Brahman is one without second. There are no two Brahman. Ekameva advitiyam Brahman. So these characteristics of the Brahman are to be kept in our mind when we are trying to understand its background. So Brahman is one without second, Brahman is absolute, Brahman is all-pervading, and Brahman is a substratum of everything. Then that is why we also notice that even when during Prakrita Pralaya, Brahman existed in the same form as it is when the universe emerged. There is no modification of Brahman. This much for the time being. Then we look at the Maya concept. This Maya is very important because Maya is the secondary cause for emergence of the universe. Brahman being absolute, it is akarta. It has nothing to do for its own sake or for others. So if the universe has to emerge, it emerges in names and forms. It requires Brahman alone, it cannot be in names and forms. Therefore, the Maya plays a predominant role in terms of explaining the universe. This is very important. The word Maya, in Vidyaranya, in one of his texts, he says that Asti Bhati Priyam Rupam Namachet Amsha Panchakam Adyatrayam Brahma Rupam Jagat Rupam Tatodvayam. He says there are 5 things to be considered when we are talking of a universe or when we talk of Jiva for anything. Asti Bhati Priyam. These come under Brahman. Asti means is, Sat. Bhati means Chit, the consciousness, that which shines. Priyam means Ananta or limitlessness also. So Satchit Ananda, Satchit Anandam is the Swarupa Lakshana of Brahman. So these are the 3. Then Nama Rupa, name and form. We can also add along with the name and form, Kriya also, the function. In fact, Nama and Rupa is linked with the function. Therefore, these 5 constitute the Jagat, the creation. And this Nama Rupa is otherwise known as Maya. The word Maya itself is very suggestive. Ya ma sa Maya. That which is not is Maya. So we generally understand that Maya is something which is not existing. But in Vedanta it clearly says that Maya is anirvachaniyam. It cannot be explained through words. You cannot say it is Sat, you cannot say it is Asat. It is Sat Asadbhyam anirvachaniyatvam iti mithyatvam. That means Maya status is mithya. The word mithya means it is neither Sat nor Asat. Why we say it is not Sat? Because for the word, we'll go through an example, then we'll understand. Vedanta talks of what is called a clay pot made out of clay. A pot made out of clay, the material is clay. For the word clay, we get a material called clay. But when we talk of the word pot, in a clay pot, for the word pot, we don't get a material called pot. The material is only clay. Therefore, the word pot, which is the manifestation of the Maya, in the form of Nama, Rupa and Kriya. Because clay pot, for example, can hold something. That is a Kriya. Since it has got a particular shape and particular function, therefore we call it as clay pot. So the word pot doesn't have a material. Therefore, it is sustained by the clay only. Therefore, we cannot say pot is Sat, because since it has no material, therefore pot is not Sat. At the same time, Sat means something which is existent, like Brahman absolute, like clay. From the clay is not that. For the word pot, we don't get the word material pot, we get the material called clay. But it is also, we cannot say it is Asat, because it is pratita, it is manifest. We are able to use it. In fact, any mithya, for example, is considered to be a vyavaharika satta. It is empirically useful. We can conduct transaction. Now the point here to be mentioned here is that it is neither Sat nor Asat, and therefore it is anirvachaniyam. At the same time, since it is useful for transaction, it has got a status called mithya. Now, the word definition for mithya we can only say, or Maya we can say. Maya and mithya are same actually. Mithya is the status of the word Maya, its existence, ontological status, therefore we call it as mithya. There is no literal real translation for the word mithya, because mithya is mithya, because such a concept is not there anywhere. That adhisthana ananyatvam is mithya. Adhisthana ananyatvam means it is not separate from the material. The pot has for subsistence clay. Without clay, the pot cannot exist. So, pot cannot exist without clay, but clay can exist without pot. Therefore, we say the clay is as an independent existence, pot has got a dependent existence. So, the Maya or mithya is adhisthana ananyatva, means adhishthanam is the clay, it is not separate from the clay, and therefore such a substance, such a vastu is called pot, such a vastu is called Maya. Therefore, pot is Maya, clay is the Satyam. Similarly, in the universe also, the Brahman is the adhishthanam, like the clay in the pot. And the universe is, with all its names and forms, constitute the Maya aspect. So the Maya universe, in names and forms, you have to understand that, depends on Brahman for its existence. Brahman can exist without Maya also. And we have seen that also in unmanifest form. In Prakrita Pralaya, Brahman, absolute Brahman, which is that's why we call it a Nirguna Brahman, existed. It is manifest, it was existing. And it existed also when the Pralaya, after the Pralaya also. Therefore, Brahman exists independently, whereas Maya cannot exist without Brahman. This is called Anvaya Vyatirekabhyam. Where pot is, there is clay. Where pot is not there, there is no clay. But where clay is there, pot is there. Where clay is there, but pot need not be always there. So that is called Vyatireka. From there we find clay has an independent existence, pot as a dependent existence. So the Maya is something which is necessary for emergence of the universe, for creation of the universe. So Ishvara comes into existence where Ishvara, using Maya as its Shakti and Brahman, which is all pervading, created the universe as though. This creation is called the Icha Shakti of the Ishvara, using his Icha Shakti. In fact, it's not creation, it is actually projection, which I mentioned earlier also. That's why Upanishads say, So Kamayata, Bahusyam Prajayeti, the verse goes like that. So Akamayata, the desire of the Ishvara to project the world, made the world what it is. Now, Ishvara for creation requires two kinds of material. One material is called the Brahman, which is called as the Vivarta Upadhana Karanam. Vivarta Upadhana Karanam means Brahman does not undergo any change. Brahman remains at Brahman. But then, since we see the universe in its various names and forms, there must be another cause which makes these things change, and that is called Parinami Upadana Karanam. So Maya becomes the Parinami Upadana Karanam. So Brahman plus Maya is the universe. That universe is the creation of Ishvara. So Ishvara with Brahma, Maya Shakti and Brahman as the material created this universe as though. And therefore there is the Vivarta Karanam, which is Brahman, Parinami Karanam, which is Maya. Parinami Karanam is that which undergoes names and forms change. Because of that only we have this creation. And therefore these two put together becomes the creation. Now there are one more aspect is there, whether we always know that where there is creation, the material is there. When you see a clay pot, the clay is there where the pot is. So the material is not separate from the created things. So in creation also, where the creation is there, Brahman also is there because it's pervaded by that. But then in a normal clay pot, the one who makes the pot, the potter, is separate from the pot. That is how the finite creation is there. But in the case of universe, which is created by Ishvara, does the creator is separate from the creation? Upanishad says the creator is not separate from the creation. Therefore, the Ishvara with Maya, who has created the pot, created the universe, is not separate from the universe. And therefore, he is called as Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam. We will take over this sentence in our next session because we are running out of time. I have already exceeded. Narayana Akila Guru Bhagavan Namaste. Hari Om. Ya Devi Stujade Nityam Vibhudhair Vedabharagaihi Same Vasatu Jigvagre Brahma Rupa Saraswati. Namami Narayana Pata Pankajam Karomi Narayana Pujanam Sada Vadami Narayana Namanirmalam Smarami Narayana Tattva Amabhyayam. Invoking the grace of Goddess Saraswati, Guru Vairappan, Mahaperivad and Guru Parampara, we are now continuing our discussions on the chapter 3 and chapter 5 and verse 3. In the last session, we explained the concept of Brahman and Maya and started with the concept of Ishvara. Concluded saying that Ishvara is Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam. Upadana Karanam we said as the Brahman, which is Vivarta Upadanam, which without undergoing any change makes all the changes. But when we look at the universe, we find the universe with names and forms. And therefore, we have to explain these names and forms. And these names or forms are explained through the Nimitta Karanam. Maya, which is the Shakti of Ishvara, and which is the Karana Sharira also, is responsible for the finite creation in terms of Parinami Upadana Karana. Therefore, we can say that the creation, the material is not separate from the creation we saw last time. The definition of creation itself is that anything put together intelligently to serve a given purpose, Swami Dayananda Saraswati used to say like this, is creation. Therefore, to put together intelligently means it requires intelligence or jnanam. Therefore, this jnanam is called a nimitta karanam. Like in making a pot, you require a material, clay, and you require a potter who knows how to make the pot. So in creation also, there is a Brahman, which is Adhisthana, which is the material. In the creation of universe, Brahman is the material, and the intelligent cause, the nimitta karanam, is the Maya. Now, where does the material rest? Where the creation is, material is there. We saw it last time. But the intelligent cause, where does it rest? The intelligent cause also rests with the Ishvara. Now, Ishvara is not separate from the universe. The Vedanta clearly says, where the universe is, the Ishvara is. That is why it's called Ishvara is Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam. The word Abhinna means he is both the Upadana Karanam and both the intelligent cause. I am again repeating, when we talk of Upadana Karanam, we talk of Vivarta Upadana Karanam, that is from Brahma Drishtya, and then we talk of Parinami Upadana Karanam in terms of Maya. In terms of Maya Drishtya, it is Parinami Upadana Karanam. Both put together constitute the universe. The universe exists with names and forms, and the Adhisthana is, of course, the Brahman. Now, the intelligent cause, it is called as the Pratibimba Maya Drishtya. It is a nimitta. This requires to be explained actually. When the Jagat creation starts, it starts from Avyakta, which is called the Karana Sharira. Karana Sharira is responsible for micro and macro creation. Microcosm we call it, and macrocosm. With respect to Ishvara, the Karana Sharira is Maya. With respect to Jiva, the Karana Sharira is Avidya, ignorance. This much we need to understand right now. Now we are talking of creation. Therefore, in the process of creation, Maya plays a very important role in sustaining the universe. Without the Maya, the pluralistic universe cannot be seen by us. So all the names and forms are accounted for Maya. And this Maya rests with Ishvara, and the universe also is with Ishvara only. Therefore, we say the entire universe is Ishvara. This is a very important thing to know. Ishvara is not somebody who is separate from the universe. Normally, sometimes we understand that when we invoke a Lord in a Vigraha, we see him in that form and then worship him. But in Vedanta, it is said that the entire universe is Ishvara with Maya Shakti. And therefore, it is also worshipped. The universe itself is worshipped as Ishvara. Because the universe has got 5 elements: Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, and Prithvi. Akasha means space, Vayu means air, Agni means fire, Apaha means water, and Prithvi means earth. These are called the 5 basic elements. From these basic elements, the elemental world emerged. And we will notice that in our creation, the Ishvara is also worshipped through these elements. And example can be given in terms of the Prithvi aspect is dominant in a temple called Ekambareshwara. In Ekambareshwara temple we have seen in Kanchipuram, where the predominance is to Prithvi. Akasha aspect is worshipped in Chidambaram. The Vayu aspect is predominant in Kalahasti Kshetra. The Agni aspect is predominant in Tiruvannamalai. And the water aspect is in Jambukeshwara temple, Tiruvanikavu. So here the Prakriti itself is worshipped. The secondary aspect of elemental worship in terms of names and forms in the form of various lords is secondary. And therefore the universe is not, Ishvara is not separate from the universe. The material cause Brahman is not separate from the universe, and Brahman is the Adhisthana for everything. Now these things to be understood very clearly, and when we understand this only, then this verse can be read. Because there is one more aspect in which I would like to mention here also. In Viveka Chudamani, he says, Prakriti Vikriti Bhinnaha Atma. He says the Atma or the Brahman is independent of Prakriti and Vikriti. Prakriti is the cause, Vikriti is the effect. Prakriti here is talked about as Maya, and Vikriti is called the Jagat. So from the Maya, the Jagat emerged. Maya has got the capacity to create. So it is another way of looking at it, putting at it, and he says Brahman is separate. Brahman is different from. Here we should understand that both Maya as well as the universe is independent. Brahman is independent of Brahman. Brahman is independent of both these, but then without Brahman, this cannot exist. And therefore, in the sloka also, Bhattacharya mentions clearly, he worships, when he says, you, from you the creation emerged, and unto you the creation went, it doesn't mean that he's talking in terms of Lord Krishna in a physical form. He's talking of Lord Krishna as the Ishvara in Nirguna, without form. From Nirguna Ishvara, without form, emerged the Saguna Ishvara, with all names and forms, and the entire Jagat is pervaded by him. This needs to be understood. So Lord Krishna is here identified as Brahman, as Nirguna, as well as Saguna. If this concept is not clear, we might get confused, we may find it very confusing, because we may say we normally see Krishna as in a particular form, and how can this form pervade the entire universe? And how can this form be the Karana, etc.? So that is why these concepts have been explained here. And one more thing we have to understand here, there is an Upanishad called the Mundaka Upanishad, which very clearly says that the creation, when we talk of creation, the material is not outside the creation. The Upanishad says, where the material is, where the creator also is. And the example given there is, Udna Nabihi Sridate Grinatecha. Udna Nabihi Sridate Grinatecha means a spider makes a cobweb from its own saliva. It is not going outside for creating this. It comes from its own saliva, make a nest of it, and thereafter it withdraws this back into its own form. This is to explain that the material is not outside, material is along with the creator. So we find the Maya also is part of the Ishvara Shakti coming from the Ishvara, and the creation, the material also is not outside Ishvara, it is also coming along with the Ishvara only. It is not separate. This needs to be also understood. The word universe also is called Jagat. Jagat means Jayate Gachati iti Jagat. That which is coming and going, that which is born and which goes back, that undergoes a change. When we use these words birth and death, it has reference to the names and forms. Because names and forms, which are the byproducts of Maya, only undergo these changes. But whereas the Brahman is changeless, it cannot undergo any change. And therefore, the Srishti, which is nothing but creation, sustenance, and dissolution, going back, is a byproduct of Maya. The Brahman remains in both unmanifest and the manifest. When the Prakriti Pralaya existed and when the universe emerged also. We need to keep all these things in mind. And the definition of Ishvara also needs to be understood. I understand this was already told earlier also, but I'm slightly repeating it for understanding. The Lord Ishvara is also called as Bhagavan. Bhagavan is one who has got sixfold qualities. This is taken from Vishnu Purana. Bhagam yasya asti iti Bhagavan. The sixfold qualities all Jnanam, Sarvatva Jnanam, he has got the Jnanam. Viryam, the capacity to create, sustain and dissolve. Then Aishwaryam. Aishwaryam is the overlordship, absolute overlordship. And Yashas, all wealth. And Vairagyam. Vairagyam means the dispassion here. Here it means Purnatvam. It is complete. Because Ishvara is not lacking anything. And therefore, the Vairagyam here means Purnatvam. Yashas, Aishwaryam, Vairagyam, Viryatvam, Sarvajnanatvam, and it also implies the I'll repeat again. Yashas, Vittam, Vairagyam, Sarvatvam, Jnanamtam. All these are combining that. So the word Bhagavan is defined this way, who has got all the 6 qualities. There is also another definition given in Vishnu Purana, which also has been noted, which says, Utpattim pralayam chaiva, bhutanam agadim gadim, vetim vidya avidyam cha savachyo bhagavaniti. It says, Utpattim pralayam chaiva. Utpatti is the creation. Pralayam is the dissolution. One who knows Utpattim pralayam, that means one who is the creator and the dissolver. Bhutanam agadim gadim. When you say agadim gadim means the karma and the karma phala. Karana also is Bhuta. The one who knows this means because of him only all these things takes place. Vidyam avidyam cha vaiti. One who knows Vidya and Avidya. Vidya means knowledge and Avidya means the ignorance. That means the knowledge is the knowledge of all knowledge. Knowledge means the empirical realities where the knowledge is there, and is also the knower of the ignorance. So the Karna Sharira, which you say at the Jiva level, is the ignorance part, right? That being referred to here. So such a entity is called Bhagavan. He is called as the Bhagavan. These 2 definitions are given here. And with these concepts in mind, we'll proceed to the next words in the next session. Every time when we are going through, we need to keep these concepts in mind so that there is absolute clarity about it. If anyone has got any doubt about it, you can directly write to me in my personal mobile. I'll try my best to clarify all doubts. Narayana Akhila Guru Bhagavan Namaste. Hari Om. Ya Devi Stuyade Nityam Vibhudhair Vedaparagaihi Same Vasatu Jihvagre Brahmarupa Saraswati. Namami Narayana Pada Pankajam Karomi Narayana Pujanam Sada Vadami Narayana Namadharmalam Smarami Narayana Tattvam Abhyayam. invoking the grace of Goddess Saraswati, Guru Ayyappan and Mahaperival. We are now entering into verse 3 of Dashakam 5. In the last two verses, it was mentioned that during the Prakrita Pralaya, Nirguna Brahman remained in its own nature as Ananda and Chit consciousness, and the entire world remained as Avyakta. The universe remained as Avyakta, non-manifest. The world, including the gunas, all the jivas, the time also remained in an unmanifest form, along with Maya. Now we are going to the verse 3, which is going to explain the starting point of the evolution of the universe. We will read the verse twice and go for the meaning of the verse. Evam cha dviparardhakala bhikata bhiksham srikshatnikam bibrane tvayi chukshubhe tribhuvani bhavaya maya swayam mayatah kalu kala shaktirakila drishtam swabhavopi cha praturbhuya gunan vikasya vidadhu tasya sahayakriyam evam cha dviparardhakala bhikata bhiksham srikshatnikam bibrane tvayi chukshubhe tribhuvani bhavaya maya swayam mayatah kalu kala shaktirakila drishtam swabhavopi cha praturbhuya gunan vikasya vidatuhu tasya sahayakriyam. We now go to the meaning of the verse. We'll first look at the prose order. Evam dviparardha kala vikatau cha tvayi sisrukshatnikam iksham bibrane sati is understood tribhuvani bhavaya maya swayam chukshube mayatah kalu kala shaktihi akhila drishtam swabhavaha apicha pradhurbhuya gunan vikasya tasyaha sahayakriyam vidatuhu. Evam, in this manner, dviparardha kala vigatau cha, at the end of a period of two parardhas, tvayi, when you, sisrikshaknikam, of the nature of the will to create, iksham, the glance, bibrane sati, did cast on, tribhuvani bhavaya, for the creation of the three worlds, maya, swayam chukshube, bestirred herself, mayatah kalu, from maya itself, kala shaktihi, the power known as time, akhila drishtam, the impressions of the good and bad deeds of all jivas, implying the karmas, swabhavaha apicha, and the resulting tendencies, pradhurbhuya, emerging, gunan vikasya, activating the three gunas, tasyaha sahayakriyam vidaduhu, acted in support of that maya. At the end of the period of two parardhas, when thou did cast thy glance, which is itself the will to create, Maya bestirred herself for the creation of the three worlds. From Maya itself emerged time, the impressions of the past deeds of all jivas, and the resultant tendencies. These supported the activity of Maya by disturbing the equilibrium of the three gunas. Here the first is mentioned of the word parardhas. Parardha means Brahmaji's lifespan is 100 years. So at the end of the lifespan of Brahmaji's, that 50 years is called the first Ardha, and second is called 51 to 100 is called the Parardha, second Ardha. So two Parardhas make 100 years. So it says at the end of the lifespan of the Brahmaji. That's how it's a Parardha is defined. The Pralaya itself, which existed for 100 years. So therefore that is also called Parardhas because it's a Mahapralaya. So the end of the Mahapralaya, Nirguna Brahman himself, using Maya as Shakti, created the world. When we say creation here, we are saying the unmanifest became manifest. So it is said creation is a projection. We mentioned it in last time also. And therefore using Maya as his Shakti, Brahman projected the world. Along with Maya came the time, the jivas, along with the jivas also, the karmas, that is the sanchita karmas, which fructified as prarabdha karmas, the vasanas, the time, and also the gunas. All these are byproducts of the universe. They are also the byproducts of Maya. All these emerged, and with this, the universe emerged. This is how the world started. That's how it has been explained here. We'll have to understand certain concepts here very clearly. The word Maya has no literal translation. Maya is the power, the Shakti of Ishvara. When we talk of Ishvara, Nirguna Brahman plus Maya becomes the Ishvara. When Maya is not there, Brahman remains as Nirguna. So Nirguna Brahman plus Maya becomes Saguna Brahman. Saguna Brahman, when we say, the gunas automatically come. Along with the gunas comes the jiva and also the time, everything which is a byproduct. So we find that everything is a byproduct of Maya. So the causal body, which is called the Karana Sharira, manifested in its original form. That's how the world came into existence. The Maya, concept of Maya, little more explanation needs to be given here. Maya is something which is dependent on Brahman. It has no independent status. Maya has only Nama Rupas. Maya per se has no material on its own. And therefore, the word Maya, when you try to define the ontological status of Maya, Maya is called Mithya. Mithya means not that it does not exist, but it exists for support on Brahman, the Nirguna Brahman. And that is why Ishvara used Maya as Shakti for projecting the world. This needs to be very much understood, because all along the word Maya will be used very often. It is also used in a different context also, mentioning that the universe is a combination of Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha means the Nirguna Brahman and Prakriti is the Maya aspect. So the Purusha and Prakriti together constituted the universe. This is one aspect which we understood. We will discuss on Maya later as we proceed further. Then also we have to see also there is a mention of the creation of 3 worlds. There are 14 worlds, but here is only been talked about 3, Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha. But it is implied that along with the 3 worlds, remaining are also understood. The time and the past deeds of all jivas we are mentioning about here, because in the causal body, the jivas which remain unmanifest form, they became manifest. The birth of jiva is on account of its own karmas, past karmas. Ishvara has no role to play in terms of creating a jiva. The jiva's creation is the byproduct of their own karmas. Depending upon the karmas, the jivas also present themselves in their own forms along with the other Prakriti creations. Now we have to understand one thing very clearly here, that as far as the creation is concerned, Ishvara does not play any role in terms of being partial to one and another. Ishvara's role is only in terms of making the unmanifest to a manifest form. And therefore, the universe, which is a projection of the Ishvara through the Maya Shakti, has its own imbalances in terms of gunas. The gunas which earlier were mentioned that the gunas were in equilibrium. Now the gunas also got disturbed because of the disturbances in the karma and the kala. And therefore these disturbances caused disequilibrium, and the universe also was projected as in terms of sattvic, rajasic and tamasic tendencies. We should understand here very clearly that this, at the end of this pralaya, the fresh cycle of creation which started, this started when the creation started. Along with the creation came the Brahmaji also played a role, and Brahma also came into existence. This Brahma himself in Bhagavatam is mentioned that he has come from the navel of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, Brahma is the son of Vishnu. In the subsequent process, it will be explained also how the creation starts. There we'll come to know, we'll get a little more clarity in terms of understanding how the creation evolved. More we will take in the next session. Narayana Akila Guru Bhagavan Namaste. Hari Om. Ya Devi Stuje Nityam Vibhudar Veda Paragaihi Same Vasatu Jikhvagre Brahma Rupa Saraswati. Namami Narayana Padavangajam Karomi Narayana Pujanam Sada Vadhami Narayana Namadharmalam Smarami Narayana Tattvam Abhyayam. Invoking the grace of Goddess Saraswati, Guru Vairappan, Mahaperiva and other Guru Paramparas, we now continue our discussion on chapter 5 of Narayaniyam. We are now entering into the verse 4. I'll read the sloka first and then we'll go for the explanation. Maya sannihito pravishtabapusha sakshiti ghito bhavan vedaistam prati bimbato vivishivan jivopi naiva paraha kaladi prati bodhitata bhavata samchodita chasvajam Maya sa kalu buddhi tattvamasrijat yosau mahanuchyate. Once more. Maya sannihito pravishtabapusha sakshiti gito bhavan bhetaistam pratibhimbato vibhishivan jivopi naiva paraha Kaladi bodhitatha bhavata sanchotita cha svayam maya sa kalu buddhi tattva masujat yosau mahanuchyate. Anvaya will be like this. Maya sannihita apravishta vapusha bhavan sakshi iti gitaha tam maya Pratibhimbataha vibhishivan jivaha api aparaha na eva atha kaladi pratibodhita bhavata sanchotita cha sa maya kalu swayam बुद्धितत्वम् असृजत यः असौ महान् उच्यते. Maya sannihitah means using Maya as the Shakti or as the adjunct, if you can use the word. Aprabhishta Vapusha, but without entering into it. Here entering into it means without being under the influence of Maya. Bhavan, thou or you, Sakshi, a mere witness. Iti Gitaha, it is proclaimed. Tam, in that Maya, Vedaihi, in diverse appearances, Pratibimbataha, as reflections, Bibhishivana, you have entered. Jivahapi, the individual souls also, Jivas also. Aparahana eva, not at all, these Jivas are not at all different from you. Ata, thereafter, Kaladi Pratibodhita, being under the influence by time, etc., Bhavata Sanjoditacha, and well prompted by you, Sa Maya Kalusvayam, that Maya itself indeed, Buddhi Tattvam, the principle of intelligence, Asrijat, projected, Yaha Asau, which Buddhi Tattva, Mahan Uchyate, is called Mahat. Having Maya as Shakti, but without being under its influence, you are proclaimed in the Upanishads to be a mere witness or Sakshi. You have entered that Maya in diverse appearances as mere reflections. The individual soul or Jiva is not at all different from you. Being roused by time, etc., means gunas, etc., and prompted by you, that means in your presence. Maya projected the principle of intelligence, which is called Mahat. Now in this sloka, few things are to be noted again. First, for the creation to emerge, we said there is only one Vastu called Brahman. It is called Nirguna Brahman. I have already talked about it earlier also. This Brahman is the only Vastu. Vastu means Vasati, Asti, Sarvata, that which is there always. There are no two things. Therefore, for the Ishvara also, the Vastu is Brahman only. For the Jiva also, the Vastu is Brahman. That's what he's talked about. That between you and the Jivas, there is no difference, because the material is same. So the Jiva and Ishvara Bheda in terms of the Adhisthana is same. It is the same Brahman only, which is called the Vastu. Now where the difference arises, it is being explained here. Ishvara used Maya as the Shakti. So with Maya, Ishvara projected the universe. Now one more word is used here, is called Mahat. Mahat is called the intelligent factor. As told earlier, to create any creation presupposes knowledge. Like a clay pot is made by a potter, the potter must have the intelligence to make the pot. Similarly, to make a creation, you require a creator who has got the intelligence. So that Maya Pradibimba Chaitanya Drishtya, it is called Nimitta Karana. Ishvara is called Nimitta Karana, the intelligence. So this principle of intelligence has come from the Maya, which is presented here, and that principle of intelligence is called Mahat. That means here it is talked about that from Mahat the universe has emerged. Mahat is nothing but the intelligence which has emanated from the Maya. Words are used differently to explain. Earlier we saw that Atma is different from the Prakriti Vikriti. Prakriti means the cause, Vikriti means the effect. From Prakriti, the Vikriti has come. Prakriti in this context means the Maya, and Vikriti here means the Mahat. From Maya, Mahat has come. Any effect is nothing but a cause in a different form. Therefore, it is only the appearances, the presentation is verified to explain the process of evolution. So we should not be confused about the terminology. So whether we say Maya or Mahat, it's all one and the same, because Maya is the intelligence factor. It is described here as the Mahat, the effect which is indifferent. So from Mahat, from Maya, the Prakriti, the Mahat, the Vikriti has come. Through that, the universe has emerged. That's how it is explained. One very important factor which we have to understand here is whether we say Ishvara or Jiva, both there is what is called a Karana Sharira. This is called causal body. The Brahman, for the causal body for Ishvara is Maya, because Ishvara has got no ignorance. Therefore, Brahman reflected in Maya is Ishvara. That means original consciousness, the reflecting medium is the Maya. Through Maya, we have the reflected consciousness called Ishvara. The same Brahman reflected in Avidya is Jiva. Avidya is one more word I am using because in the case of Jiva, there is a causal body called the ignorance. Because of previous karmas and ignorance of one's own nature, Jiva is taking birth. And therefore, in the case of Ishvara, the causal body is Maya because Ishvara has got no ignorance. So Ishvara has got no ignorance. Therefore, the Maya is the Shakti of the Ishvara. And therefore, Maya is under the control of Ishvara. Whereas in the case of Jiva, the causal body is Avidya. This Avidya is born of karmas, and the karmas determine the fate of the Jiva. And therefore, Jiva is under the influence of karma. So we cannot say these karmas are the Shakti of Jiva, because Jiva is bound by the karmas because of ignorance. Whereas Ishvara has got Maya as his Shakti. So he can withdraw the Shakti anytime. So when he uses the Shakti to project, the universe emanates. That's called Icha Shakti. So Kamayata, you know. So Ishvara used Maya. And at any time he can withdraw. When he withdraws, what happens is the Pralaya. We saw the Prakritika Pralaya we talked earlier about. So this is a very important difference we must understand here. So that is one thing. Then Maya, which is appearing in diverse forms, they are nothing but reflections. Now, when you see different names and forms, it does not mean that there are many materials. The Vastu is only Brahman. And therefore, here he also says that you are the witness of all. Here the you when he talk about is not the Saguna Ishvara. Maya Sahita Saguna Ishvara. Saguna, Nirguna means, one is Nirguna means name and form, without name and form. Saguna means having name and form. These things we should understand. So here he says that you divide of the name and form. That means you, the Nirguna Brahman, is there as a Sakshi. As a Sakshi for this projection. Now you have entered that Maya means what? The entry is only as though. It is like when we say that the pot has entered the space. The space is limitless. The pot only defines, is only an adjunct which conditions this space by its own upadhi. So this entry is only in terms of limitation, it said. It is not that Brahman has entered Maya. What is meant here that through in your presence, the entry has to be seen as in your presence. Like when the presence of sun, the sunlight comes. Sun doesn't do any specific action to create sunlight. Because the Swarupa of the sun is light. Therefore it is called sunlight. So in the presence of sun, there is sunlight. In the presence of Brahman, there is the Maya Shakti. It has to be understood that way. So you entered means that in your presence, the Jagat is getting projected. That's how it has to be seen. And when he says that you, the individual soul, the Jiva, is not different from Ishvara, that the individual Jivas are not different from Ishvara, we are only saying that in terms of the material, the substratum, because the Vastu, which is only one, without a second. So the variations are only in terms of names and form. We have seen that Jiva has got Avidya, whereas Ishvara has got Maya, Shakti. So in terms of names and form, there is a difference. But in terms of the substance, Jiva and Ishvara are not different from each other. So from the Brahman Adhisthana, Nirguna Brahma Drishtya, it is Vivarta Upadana Karana. We saw that last time. Whereas from the Maya Drishtya, Ishvara becomes the Parinami Upadana Karana. Means one who creates its universe in names and forms. And from Maya Pratibimba Drishtya, Pratibimba here means the reflected consciousness. He becomes the Nimitta Karana, the principle of intelligence. This intelligence is called Mahad. Now these words are used, technical words are used to explain how the whole thing is evolved. But we should understand very clearly that in this verse, what is being talked about here is that the Ishvara, who is using Maya as a Shakti, is only projecting the universe, and the Maya in diverse appearances are only mere reflections of the Ishvara. This to be always kept in mind. And between the Jiva and the Ishvara, the Bheda, the difference is only in terms of Nama Rupa. And therefore, the pursuit of Jiva here is ultimately to recognize that I am not different from Ishvara. That is called the Atma Jnanam. So all along the pursuit of Jiva will be to remove the avidya. And we use the word to merge with Ishvara. The merge is only in terms of cognitively, in terms of knowing that I am not different from Ishvara. I, the substratum, me, the Brahman, and the substratum in Ishvara is one and the same. The limitations are only in terms of the adjuncts, the body. This much is to be clearly understood. If you keep this in mind, as the provision, as the universe projections are explained, Prakriti, etc., explained in the subsequent verses, things will become more and more clear. But we should keep these fundamental concepts very clear in our mind, and it will get repeated in different verses in different manner. So here we have introduced one more word, Brahman, Maya, Jiva, and Mahat. Mahat is the intelligence. So the Nimitta Karana intelligence is talked about it. With this, we will move to the next verse in the next class, in the next session. Narayana, Akila Guru, Bhagavan Namaste. Hari Om. या देवी स्तूयते नित्यं विबुधैर्वेदपारगैः सा मे वसतु जिह्वाग्रे ब्रह्मरूपा सरस्वती. नमामि नारायणपादपङ्कजं करोमि नारायणपूजनं सदा वदामि नारायणनामनिर्मलं स्मरामि नारायणतत्त्वमव्ययम्. Invoking the grace of Goddess Saraswati, Guru Ayappan, Paramacharya and Guru Parampara, we now continue our further study of Narayaniyam. Dasakam 5, we are on Dasakam 5 and Sloka 5. First we will chant the verse, Sloka 5. Tatrasau Trigunaatmakopi cha mahan Sattva pradhana swayam Jivesmin khalu nirvikalpamahamityudbodha nishpadakaha Chakresmin savikalpabhodhakamahan Tattvam mahan khalvasau Sampushtam Trigunaistamoti bahulam Vishnu bhavat Preranat. Tatrasau Trigunaatmakopi cha mahan Sattva pradhana swayam Jivesmin khalu nirvikalpamahamityudbodha nishpatakaha Chakresmin savikalpabhodhakamahan Tattvam mahan khalvasau Sampushtam Trigunaistamoti bahulam Vishnu bhavat Preranat. Anvaya, the prose order is like this. Tatra api, tatra asaucha mahan api, sattva pradhanaha, asmin jive, nirvikalpam aham iti, udbodha nishpadakaha kalu, asau mahan kalu, Vishnu, he Vishnu, bhavat preranat, asmin trigunaihi sampushtam, savikalpa bodhakam, aham tattvam chakre. This is the order in which we should read. Then we look at the meaning like this. Tatra means among the effects of Maya. Asaucha mahan, that mahat. Trigunatmakaha api, though made up of all the three gunas. Sattva pradhanaha, being predominantly sattvic. Asmin jive, in the jiva. Jiva means here the collective jiva, samashti. Nirvikalpam aham iti. as the I sense without differentiation, as this, that, etc. Udbodha nishpatakaha kalu causes the recognition or cognition. Indeed, asau mahan kalu, this same Mahat indeed, Hey Vishnu, O all-pervading Lord, bhavat preranad, by your will or by thy will, asmin, in this jiva, again the samashti jiva, trigunaihi sampushtam, though having all the three gunas in full measure, tamoti bahulam, being dominated by tamas, savikalpa bodhakam, causing the awareness of separate individuality, ahan tattvam, ahankara, or the ego, chakre, created. The literal meaning will be like this. And the effects of Maya, Mahat, though made up of all the three gunas, causes, when predominantly sattvic, the cognition as I, without differentiation as separate entities. O all-pervading Lord, that same Mahat, when dominated by tamas, creates by thy will, by your will, the ego or ahankara, which is the awareness of separate individuality. We saw last time that Maya is the parinami upadana karana for the universe. From Maya, the intelligence emerged, which is called the Mahat. Now, further explanation of or the universe through Mahat is being brought out in this verse. What he said that the Mahat is comprising all the three gunas. Three gunas basically Rajas, Sattvam, Rajas and Tamas. In these three gunas, when the Sattvic guna is predominant, then the recognition of I means the Atma Brahman, is seen as without differentiation. That means it is called Nirvikalpa. There is no separation. It is seen as one whole entity. When Sattvam, that's why Sattvic guna is being made as the ultimate step for self-knowledge. So the Sattvic guna enables the person to understand the reality without the impact of ahankara. That's what is mentioned here. Sattvic guna when predominantly sattvic. The cognition as I, without differentiation, as separate entities. That's what it says. The same Mahat, when it is dominated by tamas, which then it generates what is called the ego. The ego causes separate individuality. It's very important to understand here. The same Mahat is the cause for knowledge, sattva also, when it is sattva is predominant. The same Mahat also can, when tamas predominates, it can cause ahankara, which can create division, and this division can perpetuate ignorance. This is how the impact is brought out in this. There is nothing much to explain further on this, because this person basically explain the process of evolution. In the next verse, the impact of differentiation of three gunas are being brought out, which will go now, which will read further. Verse number 6. Soham cha trigunakramat trividhata masadya vaikariko bhujastaijasa tamasaviti bhavat adhyena sattvatmana devanindriya manino krita disha vatharka pashyasvino vannindrachuta mitrakan viduvithi Sri Rudra Sharirakan Soham cha Trigunakramat Tribidata Masadya Vaikariko Bhujastaijasa Tamasa Biti Bhavannadyena Sattvatmana Devanindriyamanino Krita Disha Vatarka Pashyasvino Mannindrachuta Mitrakan Viduvidhi Sri Rudra Sharirakan. The Anvaya like this. Saha ahamcha. त्रिगुणक्रमात् त्रिविधताम् आसाद्य वैकारिकः भूयः तैजस तामसौ इति च भवन् आद्येन सत्त्वात्मना दिशावातार्कपाश्यस्विनः वह्नीन्द्राच्युतमित्रकान् विधुविधिश्रीरुद्रशारीरकान् इन्द्रियमानिनदेवान् अकृत. This is how the order of the words should be rearranged. Saha aham cha means that ahankara. Triguna kramad, in accordance with the three gunas, krama. That is sattvam, rajas, tamas. It is talked about. Tribhitatham asadhya, becoming divided into three. Vaikarikaha, as Vaikarika. Vaikarika is the other word used for sattvic part of the guna. Bhuyaha taijasa tamasau. Further as taijasa, the rajasic part, and tamasa as the tamasic part. Iti cha bhavan, becoming or called as adyena sattvatmana, by means of the first, which is sattvic. Disha vatarka pasyasvinaha, the directions, Vayu, Surya, Varuna, Ashwini Devatas. Vannindra Mitrakan, Agni, Indra, Upendra, Mitra, Prajapati. Vidyut Vitishriruta Sharirakan, the moon, Brahma, Sri Rudra, Kshetrajna. Indriya Maninaha Devan, who are the gods presiding over the sense organs, organs of action, and the mind, Akrita, created. The meaning of the word will be that ahankara, becoming divided into three parts known as Vaikarika, Taijasa, and Tamasa, being Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic respectively, created by means of Sattvic part, the gods presiding over the organs of sense and action and the mind, namely the directions Vayu, Surya, Varuna, the Ashwini Devas, Agni, Indra, Upendra, Mitra, Prajapati, Moon, Brahma, Sri Rudra, and Kshetrajna, in the same order. This again is a description of the various vikaras of the Mahat. So when the gunas get divided, the gunas are getting given to Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And the Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas are further preserved over the Karmendriyas, Jnanendriyas, and Manas. Manas or Antakarna. So this is the order in which it is being defined here. And this Karmendriya, the Jnanendriya, Karmendriya, and Manas, what are they are also being explained. It's not explained in this verse, but indirectly what has been created, these are being presided over by the respective gods. Now we'll go into a little more detail in the next session. What Karmendriya is, what Jnanendriya is, what Karmendriya is, and what Antakarana is, and what are the functions of these Jnanendriya, Karmendriya, and Manas, and also Antakarana, and also who are the Devatas, which have been described here, respectively, presided over by these Indriyas. Namami Narayana Padapangajam, Karomi Narayana Pujaram Sada, Vadhami Narayana Namadharmalam, Smarami Narayana Tattvam Abhyayam. Hari Om.